So the first person, or one of the first people I told was my boss. I had started in the government a couple of months before. It was my first real job, and I wasn't yet clear on exactly how to fill out the forms to request time off for jail. Especially considering I wasn't sure exactly how long my sentence might be at that point. The weekend before, I had been on a road trip with some friends down to Memphis to see Graceland, and I had been pulled over for driving too fast along Highway 81 down by Roanoke. Now, as you may know, in the Commonwealth of Virginia, going 15 miles or more over the speed limit is technically reckless driving. So as the trooper explained to me, not unkindly, he was writing me a summons and not a speeding ticket. He also informed me that Judge Campbell was known as the hanging judge of Botetourt County, and he was in the habit of throwing speeders in jail, sometimes for weeks. So when I told my mom about this, she was not so much upset at me as she was concerned. She told me that she had been watching prison shows on TV, which was a bit of a surprise, and she told me that she knew what went on in prisons, which I didn't really want to think about what my mom was thinking about when she was thinking about what went on in prisons, particularly if what she was thinking about involved something happening to me. And then she said, "Johnny, I don't think you would do well in prison." It's probably true, but I said, "Mom, I don't think the Botetourt County Jail is that kind of prison." At least I didn't think it was. But it did get me to thinking maybe I should try to find a lawyer. So a friend of mine was from that area and gave me a list of local lawyers, and I picked one off the list who was named Buck Hartwell. I figured that's maybe the kind of name of a lawyer that could get me out of a jam in Botetourt County. So when my new lawyer, Buck, called me back on the phone, he reassured me. He told me that Judge Campbell was not quite in the same bad mood recently, and that with my sterling driving record and job with security clearance, he didn't think I really had too much to worry about. But before I got off the phone with him, I was thinking about these forms I might have to fill out for time off, and I said, "Buck, if I do get put in jail down there, how does that work? Do I go right away, or is this the kind of thing I make an appointment for and come back later?" Because I really didn't know how these sort of things worked. And Buck said, "No, it would be right away, but we would make sure that wouldn't happen." He said, "The Botetourt County Jail is a pit. We don't even want to think about it. We don't even want to think about it." That's right, he said it twice. So I thought I was starting to think about it a little bit. But my friends threw me sort of a bon voyage to prison party. Very nice. We listened to Jailhouse Rock with the Elvis theme, and they gave me a series of gifts that they thought would be helpful to me during my incarceration. Things like a pack of cigarettes to trade in the prison yard, or some rub-on tattoos for the large muscles I was going to get working out in the weight room, postcards and paper to write my prison memoirs and my letters from prison. Very thoughtful and generous of them. When I told my mom about this that night, she wasn't as amused. Maybe she was thinking about in prison, when you go in, they take away your possessions, particularly the sharp ones, and your belt, so you can't murder the prison guards or kill yourself. That was her impression. And so the next day, I actually found myself in the crowded courtroom there of the Botetourt County courtroom, and I was able to find Buck. And he was concerned. I guess Judge Campbell was in a pretty foul mood. And sure enough, one by one, everyone who's going up in front of the bench was getting their marching orders out through the side door, which led over to the jail cells. And in fact, the next person up was a kid named Kevin McPhee, and I was able to overhear him as he was sort of crying through his little interview with the judge. He had just been, I guess, coming back from college for the first time when he was pulled over. His parents didn't even know he was there that day. But it had no difference. The judge sent him to jail, and he was let off. I was next. So I went up there, and I had a little bit of confidence because Buck had already worked out a deal with the prosecutor and the trooper, whereby I would suspend my license for a while, I would do some community service, take a safe driving course, and I would avoid jail time. And that sounded great to me because I didn't even have a car, so I wasn't going to miss my license, and I'd always kind of been looking for an excuse to do some community service, so I figured this would be a step in the right direction. And so the judge was pondering this, quietly with his head down for what seemed like an hour. And finally he had reached his decision and said he would accept the deal, but also throw me in jail. And so before I knew it, the jailer was taking me off down this hallway, my pockets bulging with rub-on tattoos and postcards, and took me down and opened the door to my jail cell. And sure enough, there was Kevin McPhee, sort of red-eyed and runny-nosed, kind of shaking, looking up, and I think my mom would be comforted if she had seen, my cellmate at that point. He was a couple years younger, probably the only person there who looked less threatening than I did. But as the guard closed the door and it locked behind me, Kevin, sort of shaking, looked up at me with fear in his eyes, and he said, "What are you in for?" And I said, "Kevin, what are you talking about? Are you kidding me? What am I in for? This is traffic court. We are all in here for the same thing. We are all just speeders, reckless drivers, I guess some of us." And I was nicer about it because I wanted him to calm down. I wanted him to cheer up because I had a sort of a long to-do list for my time in jail there. But the guard didn't help. He came back in a couple minutes, bringing us sandwiches for our lunch. And he said to Kevin, he said, "Quit your blubbering, kid. This ain't no real jail. This is a Disneyland jail." I don't know if that's true. I mean, the food I think is better at Disneyland. But it didn't help out with Kevin. And I took the opportunity to ask the guard if I could borrow a pen because I had forgotten mine, and so he was kind enough to loan me his before he closed the door. But they say, that in the big house, time moves by slowly. Days pass by like weeks, months pass by like years. And I'm afraid I can't really tell you if that's true, because we were really only in there for about 2 or 3 hours. Our sentence ended at the end of the court day, and Judge Campbell was pretty like a machine out there, so it didn't take too long. And by the time we were, sort of stepping out on the steps of the Botetourt County Jail, it was probably not even 2 o'clock in the afternoon. But Kevin and I, we stepped out together, sort of blinking in the bright sunlight, trying to readjust to a life of freedom on the outside after a long time in the 4 walls. And that was the last time I ever saw Kevin McPhee, but I think about him from time to time. I wonder if he was able to move on, or if the Botetourt County Jail broke him some way on the inside. I like to think not. When I think about Kevin, I like to imagine him behind the wheel of a car, some friends, driving down the highway, and maybe he's going to Graceland to see the Jungle Room. He's got the radio up and the window down, and he's got the cruise control set to just a hair above 65 miles an hour.